Good morning, everyone. I am Bilal Hassan.
And I am Soumya Iyer.
And it gives us immense pleasure to welcome you all here today.
After a lot of hard work, group meetings, and a lot of running around, Comets is proud to present Expressions 2013.
We would now like to invite Mr. Prashant Bhushan, Ms. Parvati Menon, our chairman, Mr. Colin Timms, and our dean, Ms. Ronita Heji, to come on stage and light the lamp.
गणनायकाय गणदैवताय गणाध्यक्षाय धीमहि गुणशरीराय गुणमण्डिताय गुणेशानाय धीमहि गुणातीताय गुणाधीशाय गुणप्रविष्टाय धीमहि एकदन्ताय वक्रतुण्डाय गौरीतनयाय धीमहि गजेशानाय भालचन्द्राय श्रीगणेशाय धीमहि.
We would now like to request our dean, Ms. Ronita Heji, to deliver the welcome address.
And in some ways, I guess our generation does envy you, your youth, and the experience that your youth brings with it. You live in a world where, thanks to your privileged socio-economic status and to the availability of state-of-the-art technology, every wish of yours becomes an instant gratification. And somehow, technology fulfills your wish even faster than Aladdin's genie.
We would now like to invite Mr. Colin Timms, the chairman of Comets Trust, to address the audience.
Good morning, my young friends. I like to come here every year is because I get to learn so much. You are going to be given a treat of knowledge, and life appears to be a fairy tale. The truth is, it is not. You know that the technology and that fairy tale ends very, very quickly when it comes down to the hard facts of life. Like, for example, earning a living, sustaining a job. A fancy ringtone, a fancy phone hardly helps you in that direction.
Let me recite an apt quote from our former president, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. I quote, "If a country is to be corruption-free and become a nation of beautiful minds, I strongly feel that there are three key societal members who can make a difference. They are the father, the mother, and the teacher." Now that we have set the stage for this session, Maitreya J.A. will now introduce our first speaker.
He was the Delhi president of the People's Union for Civil Liberties, India's oldest human rights organization. He is associated with other organizations such as the Committee of Judicial Accountability and Transparency International, India. As you can see, protecting the environment, debating human rights issues, or holding public servants accountable for their actions, he has been at the top of his field and part of many important campaigns. On the other hand, as a private citizen, he has expressed his opinions in a forthright way and sometimes drawn flack for it. He is also a member of the Aam Aadmi Party's national executive, which aims to rid India of corruption and bring political power back into the hands of the people. He is here with us today to help us understand the challenges before us and to give us an insight into what we can do to strengthen our democracy. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Prashant Bhushan.
One of the major impacts of corruption in this country has been that it has distorted public policies and moved public policies in a direction which allows the maximum scope of corruption. So why is this policy of privatizing our natural resources, why is it being pursued? If all of us come together, if we get up, if we become alive to what's happening, if we all challenge this paradigm and try and unitedly push for a new paradigm, not only of development, but a whole paradigm of power and democracy in this country, then perhaps we can not only reverse, but we can actually create a truly more democratic and egalitarian society.
What can young people do specifically beyond an abstract idea of coming together, fostering togetherness? What can young people do specifically to weed out corruption?
Expose corruption where you see it.
There has been no looking back for this historian turned journalist ever since she wrote her first article for The Hindu, right after completing her PhD in history from Aligarh Muslim University in 1986. As the resident editor, she heads the Karnataka state editorial and news gathering operations of The Hindu across its 8 state editions. So ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for the dynamic Parvati Menon.
What constitutes journalism? What makes journalism what it is? I'm sure many of you have already been taught these or discussed these in your classroom. Online journalism has its own problems. You still don't have a revenue model. How is it going to sustain these huge media establishments? It doesn't matter about the medium. The medium is about technology. It's a profession that you may not change the world, help change the world.
All of us know who Walt Disney is. And he once said, if you can visualize it, if you can dream it, then there's some way to do it. That should give you a taste of what's to come.
He is the man behind the company, behind some of the graphics and visual effects of the latest James Bond movie, Skyfall. He is one of the people responsible for establishing India's superiority in the computer graphics animation business and in the movie, television, and game segment through his company, Technicolor India. Clearly, this is a man who lives his life king size. Now, here's your chance to bond with the best. And the name? The name is Ghosh, Biren Ghosh. Please give it up for the country head of Technicolor India, Mr. Biren Ghosh.
Besides the fact that we do a lot of work on storytelling for films, I personally have a huge regard for the discipline that it takes to create commercials. A lot of people, and you can talk to the 2 directors coming up this afternoon, in fact, hone their skills in storytelling in an audiovisual sense, working on commercials for brands. And so you have to tell that story in a faster and faster paradigm. One of the things that I think is really giving a lot of insights and input to the next generation of content is the interactivity of it, is the way to immerse yourself into it, and that's really what games has begun to do in a very, very big way. That when Lara Croft became a movie, it still made a first movie that was about $131 million, another one that made about $66 million, and so on and so forth. So this content today is about building brands. One of the things I think that has not happened in our country is the ability to create franchises and build brands around our media and entertainment products. The media and entertainment business in India gives me at least this kind of a picture. It's content looking for focus. That's the challenge that actually besets all of you as you are stepping into your careers.
In this session, we have 2 eminent speakers who are sure to give you plenty to think about. Chiroshri Chanda will now introduce our first speaker of this session.
He struck a chord with the audience with his very first movie, My Brother Nikhil. His next 2 films may not have been box office hits, but he struck gold with his 4th film, I Am, for which he received the National Award for Best Hindi Feature Film. He is here today to share his message with all of us. So ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Onir.
Yeah, and wondering, like all of you might be wondering right now, that you have a dream, I had a dream, and how to reach that dream, how to become a filmmaker. I come from a very, very small town. I'm from Thimphu, Bhutan.
Now, Sonakshi Nandi will introduce our final speaker of Expressions 2013.
Today, he has the singular honor of having directed the second highest grossing Bollywood film of all time. But he says filmmaking happened to him by chance. It was his love of photography that first drew him to the visual medium. And filmmaking happened when, after his graduation, his older sister handed him the admission form to Jamia Millia Film School. That, he says, is where he found his calling. He began his career as a cinematographer for Beyond the Himalayas, a documentary film directed by Gautam Ghosh and later aired on the Discovery Channel. In 1999, he made his debut as a director with an award-winning documentary on Subhash Chandra Bose's Indian National Army. He followed these films with two other documentaries. One on the impact of the Taliban rule in Afghanistan, and another on the destruction of the environment in Afghanistan due to the continuous wars there. His latest box office super hit is, as everyone knows, Ek Tha Tiger. The movie is based on a story he heard while he was on a shoot in Afghanistan. Today, Ek Tha Tiger is acknowledged as the second highest grossing Bollywood film of all time. Ek Tha Tiger also brought him his second national award. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Kabir Khan.
That film in Kabul, I was really happy that I managed to do that. We opened at the Toronto Film Festival, and then the whole idea of New York came about. And we ended up living in that prison because you can't drive back 11 hours again to Kabul. We stayed in that prison. The Pakistani Taliban prisoners cooked korma roti for us. We ate with them. The next day, when we were leaving, there was this one person called Khalid. I always remember him, who must have been 6 feet 3 inches by about 4 feet. He came running as we were leaving the prison, and he said, "मैं आपके एक phone करना चाहता हूँ." We used to carry satellite phones because there's no other way of communication. And I said, "What a strange request." Why? So he said, "Can I make one phone call?" And I was like, this is a guy from Taliban, God knows who's tracking our satellite phone. I let him make a call. I was like, I don't think I want to get into this. But the Afghan jailer said, let him make one call. So I gave him the phone, and Khalid dialed some number, and he started speaking to his family. And as he started speaking, I realized that this is the first time in 5 years he's speaking to his family, and the family thought he's dead. And it was a strange experience just being witness to this conversation. And then his daughter came onto the phone, and I saw this 6 feet 3 inch so-called dreaded terrorist crumbled into a sobbing father when he was speaking to his daughter.
And the main question is that you were in such kind of situation in Afghanistan that there were the authority of Taliban. How this were possible for you?
The people of Afghanistan gave us a lot of cooperation. It wouldn't have been possible without them. The actors, the government, everybody sort of put their resources together and made sure that I was able to complete this film.
So how is it directing each of these actors? How do you convey how to portray their roles in the movie?
There are some actors who become like babies in a director's hand. There are some who come with their take on every single line, every single word. So you have to deal with actors depending on what is comfortable.